call this regularly scheduled meeting of the board of the Sahuarita Unified School District to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
About that, Scott. All right, so we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is roll call. Ms. Palacios.
Governing Board President, Dr. John Sparks.
Present.
Governing Board Clerk, Mr. Anthony Bruno.
Present.
Governing Board Member, Ms. Denise Reese. Here. Governing Board Member, Mr. Raul Rodriguez.
Present.
Governing Board Member, Mrs. Amy Petersmark. Present. District Administration Superintendent, Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Chief Financial Officer, Mrs. Lisa Huey. Present. Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Starlene Robinson. Present. Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Scott Down.
Here.
Thank you very much. Go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of the agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir. Dr. Sparks, members of the board, I would recommend approval of the agenda as it was revised this evening.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir. President Sparks, members of the board, you have in your packet draft copies of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the board back on March 11th. And after your review and consideration, I do recommend approval at this time.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion about the minutes? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, the superintendent's report. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir. Always one of my favorite parts because I get to share about all of the amazing happenings that are occurring around our school community. And this evening is certainly no exception. Before I begin the formal report, right before the meeting, President Sparks shared with me a card that was addressed to him, and he read it and shared it with me. It's from the ladies. It says, "The furniture ladies from Saturday at the country fair, White Elephant, Victoria, Penny, Jody." And it says, "We were so impressed with the delicious food, the phenomenally talented entertainers, and the outpouring of appreciation to the White Elephant. Thank you all for such a wonderful evening. Thank you so much." So Scott, I know you were kind of the quarterback of that operation. That's certainly something that is very special and is now a tradition here. I had never actually heard of this Scrub Daddy thing, but Scrub Daddy's a thing. And if you didn't happen to pick up this morning's edition of the Green Valley News, they featured one of our students. That there is Oliver Ochoa, and that is his teacher. That is Holly Johnson. And the other gentleman there, his name is Will Augenbraun, and he is the chief strategy officer, so he's a cabinet member in the company that makes Scrub Daddy. You might remember this kind of emerged as part of the Mark Cuban and that whole Shark Tank and became this big company. And this young man became very connected with the Scrub Daddy. He even showed me, I think, a scientific experiment about how that Scrub Daddy can create 60% more suds than a regular sponge. And he showed me in his classroom. And it was just a very touching story because his teacher, knowing how into the Scrub Daddy and the YouTube videos he was, reached out to the company. And this gentleman came and brought Scrub Daddy swag for all the kids and shirts. And this young man, I want to say for the record, I'm reading from the newspaper because, of course, we have privacy considerations. It talks about this student being a student with autism and about how we work to meet the needs of all of our students. And so this experience led to this young man creating his own Scrub Daddy based on the geometric shapes of their geometry unit. And so the guy came, Will, he came and he brought, and I think that's in that picture on the right, I think. And those are the geometrically shaped custom Scrub Daddies, one-of-a-kind edition that the company made for him. And I think it just speaks to how we work to meet the needs of each individual child. And that little guy, he's an amazing young man. He sold me on Scrub Daddy. They ought to hire him to do commercials or something. It was pretty amazing. I also wanted to just share before I show the next one that, and I know that Mrs. Reese is very aware of this. I got encouraging feedback from Mr. Garland, the director of bands at Sahuarita High School, that making progress toward the goal of getting our band, 105 or 6 member band and their chaperones to Philadelphia. And it really is an exemplar of our community. I know that Kim's not here today or Dan Shear, but the Green Valley News has written multiple pieces and online letting people know about that. And speaking of music, you know, we value music here. We have an override that supports music education from kindergarten all the way through high school. And I wanted to share this video that I took. It's like 15 seconds from the musical Kindergarten at SPS, and just the joy and the color and the movement. It just reminds me of how we create totally well-balanced educational experiences for our students here. Now, go ahead and roll it, Amber. You know, we're very blessed here in our community. They start developing a joy and a love of learning and a love of music in kindergarten. And 12 years later, they're being recognized for state level accomplishments as being among the best musicians in the state of Arizona. And to me, that's pretty special. That's pretty unique. So certainly very proud of that. I also am very proud of the fact that 3 of our Walden Grove softball student athletes, the twins there in the picture are Maddie and Natalie Holzer, is that yeah, and Jaden Gonzalez. It's rare to have, it's hard to get a full Division I college scholarship, and that one team has 3. Natalie, Maddie, I think are going to, as you can see, Utah State, and playing softball, and Jaden's going to Mississippi Valley State. So we're very, very proud of our student athletes, and when 1 wins or 3 wins, we all win, because that's why we're here. And the only other thing that I think I have, remember, that's my last video, isn't it? Yes, okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, as a point of public record, and acknowledge the recent passing of Dr. J.C. St. John, the former superintendent of the Sahuarita Unified School District. Jay was a pillar of this community in service, as a Mason, as superintendent, raising money to give Bikes for Kids scholarships, and just an amazing role model, and I know a great mentor and friend to me and to many of us. So if, as a point of privilege, if I may ask for a short moment of silence in remembrance of Dr. J. St. John. Thank you, President Sparks. Back to you.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to governing board reports. We'll start with Ms. Reese.
Very much. I was honored to attend the Navy Junior ROTC National Field Meet. So it was academics, drill, and physical training meet that was held in Pensacola, Florida at the end of March. I got to go as a chaperone. We took 33 of our students who had helped them win Quest for Gold and took them to compete actually for the very first time on site as the Area 20 region winners. And they did an amazing job. They learned so much about competing at that level, and it is really, really different than competing even at the regional level. So our students did really well. Academically, they placed 14th in the nation. On the other events, they ended up taking 23rd. And it was funny because we had to kind of remind the kids, yeah, you took 23rd out of 23 in some of these other events. Guess what? You're 23rd in the nation out of 636 units. So it changed their perspective a little bit. They learned a lot, and was, as with anything that is brand new to you, it's a learning curve. And so I was super proud of these kids. They handled it with grace. They handled themselves appropriately at all times, and they had a lot of fun. So I'm super proud of our unit, super proud of how they did, and they are definitely looking forward to next year. So we are just super proud, and that is the extent of my report for this evening.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you. I was scrolling through Facebook, and I came across this. Here's that the Arizona Rangers Madeira Company wants to hand out scholarships, and they haven't had a single application as of yet. So if you know some seniors out there that are looking for scholarships, this would be one of the things to do, send in. Definitely get a screenshot of this. This is where you send it and ask questions. But I just thought, here's somebody that wants to hand our students scholarships. Let's get them. Let's get some scholarships to them. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you, Raul. Mrs. Petermark.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So great to be back. I can't believe it's only been like a month since we've been here. So it was so great to hear all the fun stories of everybody went over spring break and everything that Dr. V shared with us. How can you not smile? There's so many amazing things going on, and we're in that last quarter. So seniors, do your best, have fun, be safe. This is it. I won't get teary-eyed, but every year we talk about how we're going to miss those seniors at all of our schools and how amazing that they are. And parents enjoy till the very end. And anything you guys can do to support. We have grad night coming up, the band, don't forget, please donate. So many cool things coming up. And last but not least, National Assistant Principals Week. So we have amazing assistant principals. So thank you to all of them for everything they do. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bruno.
I guess I'm going to start with following Dr. Valenzuela and just say, J. St. John spent a lot of time in this school district. He did a lot of good. He carried us through some really rough times so that nobody had to see those times again. And he will be missed. After that, I did have the honor of attending the parent night out at the middle school. Very well attended. I'm always impressed at how our middle school students do and perform. The band was there, and going in the classrooms and seeing some of the stuff the middle school kids do. We have some real artists, not only musicians. We have kids who will do very well in the world coming out of the middle school as they progress on through their education. I did spend some time up at Walden Grove and just kind of walked around, checked out the new parking lot after hearing about it. Can't wait to park on it, actually, officially. Grad night, actually. I've got my spot picked out. And lastly, I actually went into a 5th grade class at Sopri and got led around by hand to look at the projects they're working on and the garden they put in near the library. And again, I will say the kids are energetic. They're glad to be in school as much as the parents are glad to have them in school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's all, Dr. Jason and I talked about twice tonight, and I think I look back on my life, and he was instrumental in why I chose to live in Sahuarita and move here. And I think he cared about this place tremendously, cared about kids. I know he was a mentor to you and is fundamental in, I think, many people's lives. And I think I am grateful for the impact he had. It's, I met with a bunch of superintendents at a period in my life, and he led me to, like, I'm going to move to Sahuarita and be down here. So he was instrumental in that process. Not that he led me down here, but just he gave a good representation of the district and the area. And I think even after his retirement, continued on to do great things in the community. And I think, I said this last time, I really feel grateful to live in a community with people who care about education and children and people. So just, that's all I had to add. He will be missed. So, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, and that would be no recognition today, correct? And no call to the public. I don't have anything. Okay. So we'll go ahead and move on to new business. And this is the acceptance of the fiscal year 2020-25 audit report. Dr. Valens.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Sparks, members of the board and public. In accordance with Arizona state law, school districts that have a maintenance and operation budget of $2 million or more, that's us, are required to prepare, as you will hear, a very meticulous, very complex, very detailed, very comprehensive, multifaceted audit report on an annual basis. You've got the single audit report, the USFR, the annual comprehensive financial report called an ACFR. Everybody has an acronym. And before I say anything, I made myself a note that I couldn't forget. When we're done, this does require the board's accepting the audit report, and it requires a roll call vote. And the only other thing I'll say is that this is kind of reflective. It's a compass of our commitment to honoring the trust that's placed on us. You as elected officials, when you take the oath, you're here to be stewards of the public's trust and of the public's dollar. And it's something that I know together we take with great seriousness. And we strive to honor that. As you'll see, there's so many things that they look at and so many pieces of paper that they pull, and it's reflective of the even greater volume of work that takes place on a daily basis when they're only taking a sample of it. That I'm very proud of the overall outcomes, and I thank Lizette for not just her leadership and her vision and her knowledge, but her just tireless grit to set the highest bar and standard of expectation and outcome, and I'm grateful for that. From my lens, you'll hear about federal programs, governance, budgeting, accounting practices, very solid. The things that you hear we can do better, and you know what? We can always do something better, and that's okay. But you'll hear things about like separation of duties, coding, missing a publicly required notice by 1 day, too late, or 11 days instead of 10 days, something like that. Overall, I'm very proud, and the things that were found, we have and are continuing to use them to make us better. Was that?
Well, thank you, Dr. V. Good evening, Dr. Sparks, members of the board, district administration, and our community. Like Dr. Valenzuela mentioned, we are required on an annual basis to have an audit. That does require both on the federal level and state level as well. In addition to that, we also we also perform the annual comprehensive financial report. And that's not a requirement. We choose to do that as a district. And that really does tell a story about our district and where we're at financially. It also helps us with bonds and overrides when we want to sell, and for our credit rating as well. So it gives a good picture of our district on a financial perspective. So included in your packet, you'll see the annual comprehensive financial report, the ACFR, the single audit report, and that's the federal report, and then the USFR, as we affectionately known as the You Suffer, because sometimes it does make us suffer. Right, Darlene? And so we have the compliance questionnaire, and this is again for 2024, 2025. In summary, I just wanted to start with the end in mind that we had no major findings for fiscal 24-25, and the report is as follows. So we have the annual comprehensive financial report. Again, that's just a financial transparency, and I think that's a good thing to have for our public so that they know exactly what revenues, what expenditures that we have throughout the year, and it gives a good financial picture. And I believe that when you read the full report, that you'll see that the report shows that we're in good financial standing. The next item is a single audit report, and that goes over our financial statements and our federal awards, and these are for grants specifically. And I wanted to give a shout out and kudos to Christina Martin because she handles all of the financial pieces of the compliance that we get from the state, but also our directors who are responsible for all of their, to submit the grant, all the red tape that goes in embedded in them to get the money, to do all the things, and making sure that what we're doing reflects on our programs. And so again, just a shout out to all of our directors who are responsible for, we have several directors that are responsible for a lot of these federal grants, and they work very closely with the business office so that we can get our money back and then do all of our compliance. So again, just a kudos to them because it does require a lot of work. And just to reiterate, there were no findings with the federal single audit report. The next item is our financial statement audit and our USFR, again, the You Suffer. And this is, again, just to reiterate to the public as well, is that the report consists of 200 plus questions ranging from 18 categories. And they do pull certain files, they do selective documents that they're asking for. And really, in the end, the financial report, the USFR, is very black and white. It's either you did it or you didn't. So either we met the compliance or we didn't. And so there's no, well, you kind of did, and we'll put notes on it. It's yes or no. And so we do have a few areas to improve, like Dr. Valenzuela mentioned, but at the end, there's no financial burden to the district. You'll see that they're minor in nature. And that it's okay. We'll take the feedback and it will make us better for those. So just a few things I was going to hit on is, again, the budgeting, like Dr. Valenzuela mentioned, we're required to post notice 10 days, and we missed it by a day. I feel like it was like the board meeting date was included in there somehow, some way. And so basically we missed it by a day. The other ones are coding corrections. Again, they're minor in nature. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands of codes that we have to go through. So I understand why this was missed, but it's been corrected since then. Also, we have things like money's not turned in from fundraisers by the 5 business days. And so there was a lax in some programs that we had at the school sites, and that deposit didn't get to the bank within 5 days. So the rule of thumb is once the fundraiser ends, we have a process where it comes from the school sites to the district, to the bank, and it has to be within 5 business days, and it has to be posted to their account. It was shy of that, and therefore that's why there was a finding. The other areas are attendance, and so I know that that's a never-ending quest. We have so many students that come in and out. Attendance is a big function of what we do and how we get our monies through the state, and so having accuracy in that area is big. And I know that Amber and her team are working very, very diligently, and I'm very appreciative of the work that they do. Our attendance clerk, I mean, gosh, it's amazing how many people, have doctor's appointments, they have different things, and we have to track every single minute because that time is dollars that we get from the state. And so it is a very important job. It is a lot of detailed work. And so I find that the findings are in there. Again, they're just to help us, but they're very minor in nature when it comes to the budgeting process. Over, short, at the end, it ends up, coming up pretty flat. Another item, just as that what's coming through going down the list is IT. They're recommending that we have an increased security to add additional level of separation of duties. So we already have implemented separation of duties. This is just another level because of the systems that we have in place. And there are major systems like Power School, Visions, which we use for Tyler, and things of that nature, that we have an additional level of security and separation of duties. So with that completes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions in regards to the board packet, I'm happy to answer.
And first and foremost, I'd recommend as required, I'd recommend the board's acceptance of the fiscal year 25 audit reports as they've been presented.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just thank you. The level of detail, and if you've never kept books, even for a small business, it makes my head spin to know how many accounting codes that we do, and I've done books for a small business, and I knew how many I was dealing with. I've done books for a nonprofit, and I know how many account codes I was dealing with. To take a school district with nearly 1,000 employees and then over 6,000 students, it's enough to make your head spin. So I'm truly appreciative of all of the work that everyone in our district who has to touch the money does in order which to make sure that this happens every year. And where we're dealing with like, oh, well, you got an account code wrong. Okay, let's go fix that real quick. Like, the reality of it is that's 3 clicks in a computer program. That is not drastic findings. And when we turn on the news at night, particularly if you get news feed out of Maricopa County anywhere, and hearing about districts that have been operating in the red for years on end and are just now getting caught, and districts that are having to do crazy mental gymnastics in order to make sure that they can still be teaching kids the following year, it makes this process for me as a community member and for me as a board member to go, okay, we got this. So I'm so very appreciative of everyone that has to touch this stuff and does it with fidelity. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to say thank you. I know what it's like to manage grants. And when we talk about managing grant money, you're not just managing the money. A grant is a contract, and you have to manage every piece of that contract and see where that money goes into the right purpose. And yes, it's coding, but it's a much different form of coding. And it takes more than one person to wade through that. And it goes right down to the people administering the grant so that the reporting comes through correctly. And that's every classroom. So I would say this is a team effort, no matter what. However, we have a great leader that's overseeing all of that. And I want to thank you both for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, indeed, it's a true team effort, and it does take all of us. Every single person, whether you touch money or not, we're all part of that process, and so we can't do it alone. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, there's been some discussion in the public sphere over the past few years about the role of a board member. And the role of a board member, the very first thing is prescribe and enforce policies and procedures to govern schools that are not inconsistent with the laws and state of the State Board of Public Education. And I think when you come and do this presentation and we have it and the findings are findings, right? And we need to improve on those things, but that there's no major findings. And when you roll down the list, we're a low-risk audit, we're, all of these things that are known, that usually are negative. And many districts across the state struggle to be a low-risk audit and struggle to be in good financial health and structure. It makes me appreciate that with Fidelity, we see the application and the performance of management of the money in the district. That, to me, speaks volumes to the community, that the monies that are collected in taxes provided by the general state budget are spent in accordance with the rules. And that's what this audit says. I think sometimes I like Mrs. Reese's comment, like the detail is staggering. So, right, and I'm just appreciative that I know as I sit here on the board, I know I speak for the rest of the board too. I'm grateful for the effort, the consistency, the fidelity with which the funds are spent, managed, codified, and assessed through this process. So thank you for all that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Agree.
Thank you.
So any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Roll call vote. Sorry, I forgot this roll call vote. So I will do a roll call vote. Ms. Reese,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Aye.
Mrs. Petermark,
Aye.
Mr. Bruno. Aye. And myself, aye. Thank you very much. Thank you. I almost lost it. I almost forgot.
We
It
help
used
each other out that way.
Used to not be a roll call vote a long time ago.
We've both been around long enough that there probably was a time.
Well, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is GMP1, Phase 1, if I say that correctly. Am I in the right spot?
Yes, sir.
Phase 1 of the SPS, MRP, and warming kitchen revised. And I noticed our fine friends from CORE are here with us too.
Yes,
So
this is really exciting stuff for us. And yes, thank you for acknowledging that Ryan Knapp and Colin Dolewski from CORE are here, our partners and our friends in this important work that we do together.
And by the way, I pointed that out because whenever your items are on the agenda, you're present. And that actually demonstrates not only kind of a fiscal structure, but a commitment of your company to be present when decisions are made about budgeting and payment and selection and gross maximum price, and appreciate you being.
I would agree with your comments, Dr. Sparks, absolutely. And there's multiple of these. And this is really important because, when we ask our community to invest in our facilities in terms of giving the best resources that we can afford, that we can provide in delivering our mission of education to our students, it's a great honor. Our community trusts us to do this work, and it's our duty, it's our obligation to honor that trust at the very highest level. And when we execute these projects, it is a validation for us of honoring that trust. So that's why I get so excited. And this first GMP here is for the SPS, the Sahuarita Primary School, and it's in 2 phases, but they'll be kind of back to back. This first one involves the goal is to take these young children and provide them an eating space that is on their campus so they don't have to walk all the way up to the main cafeteria. And it used to be that way years ago. This first GMP is specifically for the renovation of the multipurpose room, which is part of that general complex. And it involves, well, of course, removing those old bleachers that have been there a long, long time. And it includes removing that infamous, why does everybody look at Mr. Bruno?
We all did, didn't we?
We did. It also,
I bite my tongue.
yes, but it also involves removal of that burnt orange carpeting that has held up remarkably well. And I'm just curious, Mr. Bruno, first of all, did you go to that school and was that carpet there?
No, I went to Stokely, but when I was, so the big cafeteria was built, we walked through the desert. Desert where the cafeteria. Walked that desert path. What was the elementary
Really?
lunch?
So it was kind of like we're going the circle of life again. We're coming back to the beginning. And so this is going to be, and Scott is working very closely with these gentlemen and the folks at course so that we minimize any detrimental impact on the education process. You know, we got this window of time in the summertime. So the goal is to complete this phase during the summer, and then that will be followed closely by in the fall, and you'll see this next GMP coming forward later, where it'll be the renovation of the kitchen to bring it back to life as kind of a modern, updated, they call it a warming kitchen, and the corresponding eating space. So it's going to be really nice, and hopefully right in the middle of the winter, however we define winter around here, the children will be able to go back to their cafeteria. So the GMP for this project is $407,477, and I would recommend approval of this GMP at this time.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further comment? All I ask is no more burnt orange, please.
No more burden.
No more burnt orange. Any other, seeing no other comments, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the next item, which is the GMP number 1 for the central kitchen cafeteria chiller replacement. And a chiller now goes to an AC unit.
Yes, sir. And this again resonates of honoring the public's trust, promises made, promises kept. That, I think we've talked before about how old that cafeteria is, and I'd actually forgotten how old it is, but obviously it was after Mr. Bruno walked through the desert, probably uphill both ways.
In the snow.
In the snow to go have lunch. But what I know is that this chiller is very old by the lifespan of chillers, and it's very important. A lot of people in there use it every day, thousands of kids to eat. And so this is part of our bond package. It's replacement of the chiller, and its guaranteed maximum price is $561,575. Again, it's within our bond package, and I'd recommend approval at this time.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have
So moved.
Second.
motion and second? Any further discussion?
I'm just going to say I didn't have to part the waterways to walk down.
Thank you for clarifying, Mr. Bruno.
I think this is important because we did have a chiller go bad unexpectedly, or AC unit go bad unexpectedly a few years back.
We did at the central, and we had multiple of those little portable
And we
units.
had all those portable things.
And they work, but they're very loud. Yeah.
And, I think I'm glad I'm in the process of prepping my home, which is nearing that 20-year mark, to replace the AC
Right.
and not wait till it
Breaks.
breaks. And I'm just glad mine's not $561,000.
Yes, sir. I hope not.
But I think that this is part of making sure the facilities are maintained and consistent. And everybody likes AC. I imagine in Mr. Bruno's time, they didn't have AC, they had fans. That was back before we had AC on buses.
Carried ice bags.
Carried ice packs, yeah. But I'm glad we're going to be able to have AC in the centralized cafeteria. But I remember, there were no buses with AC when you were a child. And now all of our buses come with,
Except for 3. We have 3 more that we
have
but
3?
the ones that we purchase are all with AC, yes. But we have 3 that we have to get out of, and that's coming soon. So we'll almost be reaching that.
100% AC.
100% AC, absolutely.
When I came to Sahuarita in 2005, you could count on one hand the number of AC buses, and we made a commitment slowly but surely. And it's neat to see that
We're almost
paying
there.
off.
We're almost there.
I just think it's always cute when I would talk to a family that gets upset about the heat in the bus. I'm like, but didn't you grow up here? And they're like, yes. I'm like, did you ride a bus with AC? And they're like, no, but I want my kids to have an AC.
I will say that with the chiller, just for a note, is that the current chiller is so old that you can't buy parts. They have to make them.
So we made
And
it
that is
last.
very
We
expensive.
made it last a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got our money's worth.
We did.
John, we were tougher in those days.
It was, need no AC.
And the AC bus was reserved for the football team only.
For travel, probably, too.
It was only the football team. Nobody else rode that bus.
Times have changed.
Times have changed.
All right, sorry. Any further discussion about the chiller at the centralized cafeteria? All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Thank you very much. We will go on to the next item on the agenda, which is a fun GMP.
It's a fun and it's a big one.
Big one, because it is for the new performing arts facility at Walden Grove, which I think needs it. I don't know any other school its size in the state that doesn't have its own performing arts center.
I cannot think of one.
I dug around one day and tried to find one.
And you couldn't.
I got on Google because someone asked. I'm like, it just doesn't happen. So I'm glad we're going to have it. It also is another space for the community.
It's a community space. Our schools belong to the community. Our community special. I also can say in the many years I've been in a part of this community, this is a fine arts community. This community values the performing arts, whether it's the children that are singing songs of joy at the primary school or the seniors that are coming to enjoy performances or performing in some of the bands, groups that exist in Green Valley. And you're right, this is one of the most beautiful high school auditoriums that I've ever seen in my career. And we've been, again, very good stewards, through multiple people. I don't know if Evan's around here, but he's doing a great job with this facility. But our community has grown since 1977 or 8 when this building was constructed. And so I'm grateful that our community has chosen to invest in moving forward our commitment to the arts. So this is a performing arts center that our community told us when we asked that they wanted as part of any plan, any bond program, any bond package. I believe it's one of the bigger, if not the biggest cost item, but it's going to be beautiful. Of course, it's being done by our partners at CORE and designed by our other partners at Swayman Associates. Together, we've built a lot of beautiful and functional and great things, and I know this won't be an exception. This is a performing arts center. It's going to seat 475, which is amazing because originally we thought of like 5. With the rising cost of construction, which we all see everywhere around us in every way, we were worried that it was going to go down lower. So really to be only down 25 from what we originally envisioned, I think it speaks to the shared commitment and teamwork and sacrifice on all of our parts to get it done. So again, I want to say thank you to the community for this investment that will be continuing to serve for many, 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 many years. And at this time, I do recommend the approval of this GMP1 Amendment 25. The Performing Arts Center, again, on the campus of Walden Grove. You may have seen the fence if you've driven around there, but of course, this will be an entire community's resource, an entire district's resource, and the GMP is for $12,589,580.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
I have a question. I'm sorry if I'm missing it. I see the inside, a sketch. Do we have a picture of the outside or that hasn't
Scott, do we have a picture?
come about yet?
Inside and outside color.
That'd be awesome. And it'll blend in, I'm assuming, to everything. Okay.
Bright pink.
The decor. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's going to be really, really nice. And Scott, just what's the projected timeline for the completion of this project?
They're going to start tomorrow. Pre-order parts and starting groundwork. And it'll probably be done at the end of next school.
So about a year from now. Yeah. That'll be, maybe they can have like the senior, what do they call it, senior tribute next year or something like that. That's great. Thank you.
Large project.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting.
And I'm excited about it. The timeline in there says closeout by beginning of August of 27. So we'll be open for the school year in 27.
Yes.
Is that right? 27, 28.
Basically 2 summers in a school.
Yeah. Very cool. And please, no burnt orange. It didn't age well. Please pick colors that'll age well. All right. I just have to laugh. The colors, I think we think more about picking things that age well. Any other comments about this pretty exciting building? Very exciting.
It's really.
I'm curious, does this GMP include just the building or does it, because they're gonna have to do some landscaping stuff to like fence it and connect it and put,
It's all inclusive.
it's gonna be in, and it is gonna be like fenced into it, or is it gonna be standalone?
Standalone.
Okay. I was curious how we were gonna make, if we were gonna put it inside the fencing or,
That would have been like,
Funnel?
yeah, funnel.
there would have been a funnel, right? Like a little walkway.
It'll fun.
Okay. Yeah, but
It does include all the landscaping and then a couple extra parking spots, not many, but
if you,
it'll look nice.
and I do agree with Amy's request. I think I'd love to see, I'm sure it'll look beautiful. How many seats is it gonna have? That's 475, so almost 500 people. That's a pretty big
And we
auditorium.
did have some music teachers part of the design. Evan, obviously, specialists come in from out of town, help us. It was a pretty inclusive process. I think
Very cool. Thank you. All right, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Thank you very much, and thank you, Court, for being here. On to more buildings. Very cool. Move on to the next item on the agenda, which is new business. And the next item on the agenda, I believe, is the ASBA political agenda and priorities. When do they, I couldn't, when I was looking through it, I couldn't find a date. So we have so we have a couple more board meetings.
Correct.
So I don't expect you to explain. This falls
You
clearly.
probably know more than me about this, Dr. Spot. All I know is that you're being asked, I just did my homework, that you're being asked to identify your top priorities and to vote on them so that Betsy can send your proposals, your ideas to ASBA.
So unless you're ready to talk about it today or want to have a discussion about it today, historically, we have done a thing where we talk about it and we wait and vote on it at the next meeting.
We certainly can.
Would you like to do that? Would you guys all like to look at it and see if you have any input on it? Okay. So then can I have a motion to table this item for finalization at the next board meeting? Is that enough time for everybody?
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Thank you very much. We'll have that done at the next board meeting so you can, and we'll ask at that time, I'm sure we'll ask Mrs. Palacios to hit the button.
Cast the vote. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is, I'll just scroll down, policy advisories. I do believe we have second read on this policy.
Yes, and really quite simply, this is a policy advisory that basically outlines pretty factual stuff. Basically, the annual budget schedule and deadlines, the dates on the calendar where stuff has to be completed, and if it requires board action. It's pretty straightforward. We did table it because that is not only good practice, but it is our historical practice. No surprise, there was no response or comments about it, and so I would recommend approval at this time.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the proposed 2026-27 compensation plan. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir, and I am positive and excited about a lot of things. I try to be. I'm particularly excited and positive about this one, not just because of the outcome, but because of the process that we went through and the hard work that was put in. You know, I always, if you remember last year, and you probably do, I always begin this presentation with one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Ken Blanchard. The greatest investment is that you make is that which you invest in people. And we are a people-centered organization. As Mrs. Reese mentioned, we're pushing almost 1,000 employees, 900 something employees. It was also mentioned that we invest in people, we invest in our students, we serve our students. So we are investing in people that way. And so it's reflected in our finances, in our budget. 85 to 90% of our budget is people. And so if you believe that, we've always strived to reflect that in what we can responsibly invest in the salaries and benefits that we provide for our people. Now, it's challenging and rewarding. It's challenging because we have real headwinds. It's rewarding because we found a way to get to solutions and to overcome them. This slide is almost the same as last year because it hasn't changed. We are facing headwinds, not just us. These are societal headwinds that are faced across the state and across the nation. If you think back, and you don't have to think back more than maybe a couple of nights, certainly weeks, months, if you turn on the television and watch the late night news or listen on the radio, you probably, with some regularity, hear about a school district in our area, in our state, that is feeling the effects of these factors in a very big way. And by that I mean a way that is reducing programs, which means reducing people, laying people off, and things like having to shutter schools that have been resources and have been built by communities. And there's many reasons. Every district's unique. Part of it is these are very real challenges. One is society's changing demographically. We all know about birth rates. Birth rates are down. There's multiple reasons for that. We also are very familiar in recent years with some of these economic factors. The high cost of housing, buying a home, having adult children. I sometimes wonder about how this next generation is going to be able to afford to buy a home in the same way that our generation was able to afford to buy a home. So those are real. We also know the more recent tangible things like how much it costs to fill up your car or to go buy, a big carton of cereal or things like that. Stuff's expensive, which impacts decisions families have to make about their lives and their lifestyles. And also, we're also very intimately familiar with law and policy changes. We're familiar with policies that have supported the proliferation of market-driven reforms. It's just a factual statement. Vouchers and charters and things like that. They've grown, and it has an impact. It has an impact because you have the same number of students that are now spread out, and that has financial impact. It just does. So you deal with these things, and I think the next slide shows that. And what I would highlight about this is keep this in mind. First of all, you see kind of some trends that, for multiple reasons, the high school numbers seem to be a little more favorable than the elementary and the middle. But the other thing that I actually celebrate is that although, other than the pink line, which probably has an overall kind of a best fit, neutral or slightly positive slope, the others have a neutral or slightly negative slope. But I would emphasize the word slight. And I think it reflects the work we're doing here to make our programs, our facilities, our student opportunities as great as they can be so that we can continue to attract and show the unique factor of the traditional public education. So that's the reality of enrollment. Now, if you'd have been here 10 years ago, you'd have seen a very solidly positive, not just positive, but a solid, big positive slope on all three of those lines. In fact, I know we were reminiscing about Dr. J. When Dr. J brought me here as his assistant superintendent in 2005, we were growing at like 16, 17%. 16, 17%. So it was a different time. So keep that graph in mind as we look to the next one, which is how are we going to adapt and overcome? Because the other thing we know is in real simple terms, I know Lizette overwhelmed your mind with the complexities of finance and how we have to report and the different things that make up school finance. But in real simple terms, more kids, more money. Less kids, less money is basically how it works. So you might ask, why and how are we even able to talk about giving people a raise? And that's why I'm grateful for the smarts, the intelligence, the dedication, and the shared purpose of our team, of our board, of our community that continues to invest in our local initiatives, and of our entire community. Because it's not easy. But first of all, we got to stabilize and grow enrollment. If you're not at least buffering those trends that I was talking about, there's no way you can continue to give raises because you're getting less money. And through developing people, programs, and our properties, we are able to stabilize the enrollment. In other words, those lines you saw, the pink, green, and blue, roughly you could say they're kind of flat with a little down. That's number one. And that's intentional, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. The other thing we have to do is we have to, I don't always like the term right size the organization because it's kind of overused. You have to make strategic reductions in the expenditure side correlated with the facts in your numbers. So you can't wait until those trends become so significant that you have to make major impacts that have painful consequences. You've got to methodically over time whittle away in line with what the data tells you. So the data tells us that we've lost about 100 or 130 students, something like that. So we've trimmed about 7 or 8 teaching positions and a couple of support staff positions, saving about $600,000. There it is. We've also, and we did it again today, we talked to principals about how we use supply budgets, operational resources, so that we're thoughtful about simple things like turning off the lights, don't order so much paper if you can do your active participation on electric clicker slates, or you can use regular chalk slates. That works. We've all got to be of that same mindset. So increase enrollment, decrease expenditures. And the other thing that we do is we need to manage our reserves. You will see that in order to make this raise work, and I'm really proud of what I'm going to be recommending tonight, but we've had to tap our reserves, our savings account. Now, we do so responsibly. Those of us that were here, well, you might remember even if you weren't on the board, before COVID, we were having a similar conversation, not on the same magnitude, but a previous member of this board, Mr. Opalka, he said, so we're going to do raises and we're going to have to tap into our savings account. How is that sustainable? It's a great question. It's not sustainable. What we do is we use that as kind of an insurance. It allows us to bet on ourselves in a responsible way so that we can give these raises. I will say that ever since that year, we've been very carefully navigating these same variables, and we'll do it again tonight. And up until this point, and I knock on wood, I think it's formulated wood here, but we've not actually had to tap into it. And that's the goal. Because when you have to tap into it, especially when you have to tap into it significantly, that's when you're in trouble. And because those funds are not sustainable and you gobble up that money, and before you know it, you're in those situations where the Auditor General, in their due diligence of managing and auditing our books, will put those red font markings that say you're at risk, right, Lizette? So it's a three-way street. It's responsible use of reserves, cutting back smartly on expenditures, and increasing our enrollment. Like this year, yes, we went down, but we went down less than we predicted and budgeted. So we built a little bit there. Like I said, we captured some positions. We continue to have healthy reserves. So I can responsibly make the recommendation tonight. The next page, I'm going to talk about the three-pronged strategy for continuing to stabilize and grow enrollment. And I say people, programs, and properties. And these are programs, and it's a beautiful, colorful picture of the things that I think make us special. I always just cite simple examples, and I don't even have to go that far back. I think I asked Betsy to update some of these pictures just because you don't have to look for pictures that far back. I know, for example, and Mrs. Reese mentioned it, just within the last 2 or 3 weeks, our ROTC cadets had a chance to go to the Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. I wish I had it tonight because I only saw it because Commander showed it to me and Master Gunnery Sergeant Dow showed it to me. These young people are standing in front of an FA-18 Hornet where the Blue Angels train. They get to go to Florida, to the cradle of naval aviation. Similarly, we have teachers. I can think of a couple, Aaliyah Verdugo, Ben Garland, who give up their spring break to take our young people to Australia. Think about that. Now, yes, Australia, it's fine. It's a beautiful place to visit. You're there on a field trip with like 30 or 40 teenagers. Wonderful teenagers, but you're there to help educate them and to give them experiences about science, about geography, about developing life skills that many of them haven't had. And they come back richer and wiser for that. We saw the fact that we have music, K-12, music specialists at all schools. And we have musicians at the high school level that are among the best in the state because our community invests in that. Pretty special. Recently, I saw a little video clip of our congressman, Juan Ciscomani, and he's on the floor of the United States House of Representatives, and he has this big poster, and he's talking about the wrestling team from Sahuarita High School and how the Mustangs are one of the few that's won 5 consecutive titles, and he's talking about the kids that won individual titles, and he's giving positive affirmation to Coach Vasquez and his staff. We earned $18 million in scholarships last year, and hopefully we're going to beat it this year. And with kids getting full scholarships like the ones I mentioned at the beginning, I have no doubt. We have another student that is choosing between which of the United States Service Academies he's going to choose this year. So we have great opportunities that are unique to public education, and that's what's special about it. And I'm proud to say that thanks to our community commitment, our board commitment, we do it pretty special here. And we do it in a way that produces great outcomes for our kids. So that's programs. So building great programs, investing in great people. I didn't have to look for that, and I could have filled up this whole page. That's just this year. We proudly say that Arizona's Teacher of the Year, the ambassador of Arizona's public schools, Tiffany Jessup, is here. We have 2 teachers, Mr. Garland, Ms. Aguilar, who were recognized by U of A for their Teacher Excellence Award. We had another one recognized by Raytheon, Ms. Mora. Ms. Fritz, and of course, Mr. Carl Ogren and Ms. Tingle there, who earned I think 2 of them were renewals of national board credentialing. We have amazing faculty members, and I would extend that to any department that we have. We're committed to excellence, and our people will continue to bring people here. Our properties, you heard about the high quality of facilities that we have, and we're grateful. I know the new wing at, for example, at Walden Grove, that was a strong partnership, and we are grateful for I still call them the SFB. I know it's the School Facility Board, now it's a School Facility Department Division. And we're grateful. They provided us about $11 million for that wing, which we supplemented and put some Pima JTED, some JTED money into it. And we're grateful for that money. But you know, at the core, the American Public Schoolhouse is a local endeavor. And our local community does local control very well and puts its investment and its money into action. And that's why we have not only this new wing, but those 2 new preschool classrooms, those 7 new classrooms at Wrights and Ridge. That's why this evening you were able to authorize the deployment of resources for this new beautiful performing arts center, for this beautiful new cafeteria that we're going to remodel. Many of the schools are going to have beautiful new playground structures this summer. And again, we're doing it very thoughtfully because of our shared commitment without raising tax rates, with keeping those very stable by investing. You take it, you use it, you pay it off, and then you keep going. And so great programs, great people, great properties. I think the next page is, what's the plan? So there's the plan. And again, I'm going to say it again because it begs repeating. I'd like to thank my cabinet colleagues. We rolled up our sleeves and asked a lot of questions and grinded through a lot of details, starting with Lizette's department and Scott's departments, who kind of did a lot of the back work and integrated, because personnel administration and financial administration, they go like hand in glove. And then the rest of us came together and went through the details, made some tough decisions, in terms of how many new physicians can we bring on board. We were very, very careful. There were very few, because our goal was do the best by our people, invest in our people. We had to make some tough decisions, but we got to responsibly to that goal. Thank our community again. Those overrides and those investments that we have add tremendous value to what we can do, what types of programs, what types of people we can hire. We talked about music. We can talk about counselors, fine arts, orchestra, band, ROTC. We've talked about our community special. I think our board, at the end of the day, you are the public's trustee, and your firmness and your support and your belief and your communication about the value of this thing called American Public School and its value to not just our community, but our American society in general is not only evident in your words, but it's unwavering in your actions. So thank you for that. And with that, this evening, I'm going to tell you about the plan. It's pretty straightforward. It's a 5% salary increase for all certificated, basically all salaried employee team members. So whatever their base amount is, next year will be 5%. Just for your recollection, we try and rotate that from year to year, from taking the available pot of money and dividing it into equal shares and making it the same for everybody, which benefits our ability to target our younger and retain our newer to the organization. It also helps us because that's a bigger percentage for the younger folks. It helps us elevate the entry level wage. On the same token, like this year, sometimes we rotate to 1%, which helps us invest in people who have invested here, who have chosen to give their careers and that have stuck around and are continuing to make an impact in our community. So this year we're doing the percent. You're familiar with Proposition 301, which is a voter-approved sales tax. I think it's 0.6 cents. Which is interesting given that you talk about the cent. I don't think the penny exists anymore, but you understand it's the number. And so that's based on sales tax, and it ebbs and flows. But I am grateful to Lizette, and I say, in honoring the past, Charlotte Gates was also very good about not letting the ebbs and flows of the business cycle upset the stability of the commitment to keeping that money as consistent as we can, and when we can, to responsibly elevate it. So this year, there will be a $500 increase to the Prop 301 plan. It has multiple pieces. Again, I say thank you, board, and to those boards that came before you. There's options and menus and choices that you could do with this. This board and your predecessors, as long as I've been here, have always said we need to work within the allowability of the law to put that money in teachers' pockets. And at the base, at the minimum, there has some variability for experience and things like that. But basically, the baseline amount that this equates to for a teacher's salary is at least $7,000 a year. So that's significant. Thank you for that. 5%, I'm going to talk about support staff, and you'll notice the word minimum is thrown in. Little different laws apply. If you think about the human resources world, these are folks that are not salaried. They are protected by the Fair Labor Standards Act, wage per hour, and things like that. It's a little more complicated, actually, because they're in wage categories based on complexities and skills and responsibilities of the job. There's, I don't know, like 10 or 15 different categories, and we've been working really hard at this. This is a little more challenging. So we say minimum 5%, which means every support staff employee team member, and some of them have been with us for a long time, whatever they're making per hour, they're going to get 5% more next year. Additionally, we did this study a couple of years ago, and Scott's worked to update it because, you know, things get old very quickly these days. But what we found is that for some of our job categories, it was interesting because the ones on the entry level or the ones that were closest to like the minimum wage, they were kind of comparable because they were more clearly aligned with those roles and the minimum wage. The other ones were the ones on the very highly skilled, highly technical area, high responsibility, because those by default were more closely aligned with the marketplace across different sectors. It's the middle ones where we got kind of a little bit behind. And so besides the 5% in those categories, and again, Scott and Lisette and their staffs, Christina Martin most notably, and Jim Heinzelman, have worked to make, besides giving them a percent, make a targeted additional investment, different for different categories based on how far behind they are, to kind of flatten that curve and bring them back to where they're in alignment. Of course, it required decompressing so that when you do that, you're not bumping them above the people above them. So it's, I say it's kind of like that Rubik's Cube, but it's a significant increase for them as well. Health insurance is health insurance, and we know that across sectors it's expensive. It's not getting cheaper. We're very fortunate in our partnership with ASBATE this year. One of the things that ASBATE did is they eliminated one of their programs that's, it's almost not existence. It's a very expensive plan that is most uniquely defined by uncharacteristically low copays by today's standards. And so they phased that out. We were actually one of the last ones we were one of the last holdouts, actually. Yeah, and so now we have the three plans, and still very good plans. We have the one called the Classic Gold. It's the PPO, and we have the Classic Silver, and then the Value Silver. So a range for people based upon their needs. We've always tried, even in the years when we've had pretty significant hits to the district's premiums, we've always tried, for lack of a more sophisticated term, to have the district eat it. Bear that cost so that we don't have to pass them along and offset any raises. And this year, we're providing an additional $225 from $65.70 to $67.95. And again, the idea there is to offset some of that increase. And what this means in tangible terms is, on average, for the if you can define average in a world where everybody's an individual, but if you think about like a teacher in our district, for example, depending on what they pick for their individual coverage, the out-of-pocket cost is expected to go up like $4.75 next year. So again, a plan that I'm very proud of, and I'm proud of it because in general it shows that we're investing in our people. I'm even more proud of how hard we had to work to get there, to get it done. So here's the cost. The next one shows you the cost. And again, this is not all of the new costs that we're incurring operationally. This is just like what I call the big people costs. I didn't include, like, we have to budget for increased utilities. I mean, we all read about that, right? And the potential for utility increases. We have to plan for legal costs, things like that. But in a nutshell, the compensation package is about $2 million. The hit in premiums to the health insurance is just shy of 100,000, so about a tenth of a million. We did have to put a few positions, very few. I know an ELL coordinator, we made some structure in how we're coordinating testing, stuff like that. Very, very little. Now, I also say that with the understanding that if we have a banner summer and enrollments are just, the slope of that curve is positive and growing, we have the ability, in fact, that's the world we operate in today, where we have to be able to monitor and adjust, and we're prepared to do that. Staffing adjustments, that one I should probably put a minus in. This is the ones that we're capturing, we're throttling back. Those 8 positions that we talked about. So the net cost of this is roughly 1.7 million when you consider all of that. A little more if you take into consideration the total cost to M&O, the utilities and things like that I was talking about. So it's a significant amount of money. It's responsibly used, and I'm confident to bring it to you this evening. Again, I'd close out with the notes on the next side. It's people, programs, and properties. That is the secret sauce. That will continue to be our secret sauce. How are we going to continue to move forward? Focus on increasing enrollment, making necessary adjustments as needed. Maybe someday those adjustments maybe soon, those adjustments will be in the positive as we continue to increase enrollment, and that conservative budgeting, which gives us that security buffer, that, as I call it, that insurance plan to where we can responsibly make recommendations like the one this evening. So pending your approval, on or about April 15th, knowing Scott, it'll be on, like exactly on at April 15th. The contracts, wage notices will go out. Of course, they're all electronic. Similarly, communication will go out about open enrollment, which I think will also start in April, for employees to make their selections about insurance and benefits and things like that. And we will gear up for another very successful school year. And I end with a quote, the same one that I used last year. Leadership is not about being in charge, but taking care of the people in your charge. And I think for all of us, that's kind of our true north in how we approach this. And with confidence, I am proud and grateful to recommend the 2026-27 compensation plan for approval this evening.
Very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
I just want to say thank you, because with the totality of everything that what you started out with and then ending up with the 5%, thank you to everyone who worked on this. That's amazing.
Any other discussion? I agree with Amy's statement. I'm grateful we're continuing to push. And I think it's important to note that the $600,000 reduction in staffing positions no one lost their position. I think that's important to say.
That is absolutely.
Through attrition and adjustment, we removed those positions. So no one lost a position or lost employment.
Thank you.
I think it's important to say. I think people see that reduction and they're like, oh, people lost their job.
Thank you. And Scott we're finding homes for everybody. We had to take you from here, but we have a spot there.
Yeah.
But nobody lost their employment.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, there might be a few more, requests to alter job assignment. If we just don't need a third grade teacher, we might ask you to teach second or fourth. But they still have a job, and the goal is to keep everybody employed and to not. And I think historically, the district as a whole has always done that. When Walden Grove was built, we didn't remove any positions. We hired new positions and we grew into our staffing level. What are we doing?
Yes.
Because there was a time when Sahuarita High School needed less staff. But instead of removing positions, we managed that system so that no one lost a position due to change.
Yes.
So I think I appreciate that as we move forward through what is certainly going to be interesting times, that we do our best to not eliminate positions, because I think you are right. There are many districts in the state right now that it's not attrition. It's, the ending of positions, which is difficult.
It's difficult.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the support staff work schedule. Dr. Valenzuela.
And Dr. Sparks, I don't know if you're going to ask this, but I will just tell you that I'm okay with it if you are. These next items, the one, you know what I'm talking about, the work schedule, the certified salary determination, and that wage schedule. If you wish,
To take it as a
you
single
may
action.
take them as a single action, and I would be glad to recommend approval of those three items, the support staff work schedule, the certified salary determination chart, and the support staff wage schedule for approval.
And I think I like that recommendation unless someone on the board wishes to take those as individual items. That's basically, what days do you work? What is the schedule we put out to tell teachers? Here's what you'll make as your base salary plus your years of experience in education determination, which is, I'm assuming, based on the budget, the pay raises that are just passed. And then the next item is the support staff wage schedule, which that item we talked about also in that first presentation about adjusting the hourly staff into their category. So I think I've seen all of the information necessary for that, but are you all okay with that motion to take them as one item?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then may I have a motion to take item 10B, C, and D as a single motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
Just again, thank you for the amount that, especially for these wage schedules, not so much on the certified side, but especially on the categories side for our hourly employees, our classified employees. It's a lot, especially when you're trying to figure out an hourly wage and compliance with laws that are completely out of our control, and then also making sure that we're creating a competitive market for those individuals who are filling those positions. It's one of those things of where there's so many little bitty pieces that you have to pay attention to. It's like the devil's in the details, and I just appreciate all of the work that's gone into this.
Thank you. I agree. Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the consent agenda, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, sir, President Sparks, members of the board, I would recommend approval of the consent agenda in its entirety this evening.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion about the consent agenda? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and move on to item 12, which is any future possible agenda item considerations from the board. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and establish the next board meeting here in this building on April 22nd at the standard regular time of 6 p.m. And then there is no executive session. May I have a recommendation to adjourn, or motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you all being here this evening.